Have you ever wondered if your kindness could ever harm someone rather than help them? If the help you offer might prevent someone from learning the lessons they are meant to face? If the love you give could tether them to dependence instead of freeing them to grow? Buddha teaches that true compassion, Karuna, must always be balanced by Upekkha, equanimity. Love without balance can blind, while balance without love can become cold. The path lies in harmonizing the two, so your heart feels deeply and your mind observes wisely. You may believe that being loving means always stepping in, always rescuing, always easing discomfort. Yet, a kind hand, given without understanding, can become a weight rather than a support. A gentle word, spoken too soon, can obscure the path rather than illuminate it. True compassion requires both a heart that feels and a mind that understands. Every person has their own journey. If you intervene without awareness, you may disturb the natural rhythm of their growth. Compassion is more than alleviating suffering. It is a practice of aligning love with awareness, understanding the consequences of action, and knowing when your hand will support and when it will hinder. When you act with discernment, you offer something far greater than temporary relief. You offer freedom, growth, and the quiet power of life's natural lessons. Principle 1. Compassion balanced by equanimity, Upekkha. When you give without reflection, you may think you are helping, yet you could be creating dependence, dulling the lessons that life intends to teach. Gratitude can fade, independence can diminish. The strength of character may wither if you remove every challenge before it has a chance to shape them. Imagine someone walking along a rocky road. If you lift every stone, clear every branch, and smooth every path, they may stumble less, but they will also never learn to walk with awareness, to step carefully, to navigate obstacles. Each challenge carries a lesson. By rescuing too eagerly, you may deny them the wisdom that struggle brings. Your kindness may also drain you if it is given blindly. Energy is not limitless. Compassion without discernment may leave your heart exhausted and your mind clouded. The measure of your giving is not in how much you offer, but in how wisely you act. This is why Karuna alone is not enough. Without Upekkha, the calm, steady awareness, your generosity may overwhelm both yourself and those you seek to help. You may feel that stepping back makes you seem unkind, but sometimes allowing someone to face their own challenge is the greatest act of love you can offer. Principle 2. Honor the wisdom of struggle. You must understand this. Growth is born in challenge. Strength emerges from struggle. Resilience is not created in the absence of difficulty, but in response to it. Just as a tree grows deep roots when the wind tests it, you develop strength when life tests you. And so do those you care about. When you try to remove every hardship, you may spare temporary pain, but you also take away the opportunity to learn courage, patience, and self-reliance. Difficulties are not punishments. They are teachers. By allowing someone to encounter life fully, including its challenges, you honor the integrity of their journey. Consider the child who is learning to walk. If you hold their hand every step of the way, they may never discover balance, coordination, or confidence in their own feet. Each stumble is sacred. Each fall is a lesson. The same applies to every struggle in life. Consider the art of the Japanese bonsai tree. To keep it small, the gardener must constantly clip its roots and shape its branches. But to allow it to grow into a grand, enduring specimen, they must plant it in the open ground, allowing the winter winds and scorching summer sun to challenge it. The strength is not in the gentle trimming, but in the fierce exposure. Likewise, when you shield someone from the inevitable weather of their own life, you may keep them comfortable, but you also keep them small. Your role is to be the sunlight, not the wall. Your role is not to erase struggle, but to understand its place. Watch, wait, and intervene only when your interference would truly serve, not when your impulse to rescue dominates. The world is a teacher, and its lessons are most powerful when experienced, not avoided. Principle 3, beware the chains of overgiving. Have you noticed that when you give too much, you can feel bound by expectation? That those you help can sometimes become dependent, relying on your presence rather than developing their own strength? In these moments, love can become a chain rather than a gift. Unmeasured kindness can overwhelm, like a river flooding its banks. Your intention may be to nurture, but if given without awareness, it can smother growth. To act wisely, you must find balance. Give enough to support, but not so much that you control. Offer guidance, but do not dominate. Let me tell you a story. There was a young woman named Anara who worked in a small village clinic. She had a heart full of compassion and would go out of her way to help every patient, every neighbor, every friend. If someone forgot to pay a bill, she would cover it. If someone was late for work, she would cover their shift. At first, people were grateful, but over time, they stopped trying to manage for themselves. Her friends expected her to always solve problems. The villagers assumed she would always step in. Anara felt exhausted and frustrated. Her generosity, once a source of joy, had become a burden. One day, a young patient she'd always helped insisted on managing his own treatment. Anara realized that by stepping back, she allowed him to grow. It was difficult at first, but she saw him flourish. The greatest lesson Anara learned was not about giving, but about receiving a different kind of reward, the sight of independent growth. She began to understand that her true kindness was measured by the space she created for others to stand on their own. Her heart found rest, not in the act of rescue, but in the practice of trust. She gave less stuff and offered more faith in their ability to overcome. When you give without awareness, you risk creating dependence, not independence. You risk turning your love into a chain rather than a bridge. Freedom requires discernment, to give, but not to bind, to support, but not to control. By preserving your own clarity and energy, your compassion becomes sustainable. You create space for growth, for yourself, and for those you care for. Principle 4. Discernment is the heart's highest practice. True compassion is like rain falling at the proper season. Too early, and it cannot reach the roots. Too late, and the growth has suffered. Too much, and it floods the soil. But just enough, delivered with awareness, nourishes and awakens. You must pay attention to readiness, your own and that of those around you. Intervene only when it will support growth. Step back when interference would hinder it. Your heart and mind must work together, observing carefully, feeling deeply, and acting with wisdom. Every act of kindness carries consequences. Each gesture touches not only the other, but also you. Let your compassion illuminate without blinding. Let it guide without controlling. Let it awaken potential rather than creating dependence. You cannot give love blindly. You must see the needs of the other, the readiness of their mind, and the capacity of their spirit. The art of discerned compassion is subtle, yet it is the highest form of love you can offer. A master sculptor does not remove stone blindly. They observe the rock, listen to the grain, and strike only where the unneeded is separated from the form. Their goal is not to relieve the stone of its weight, but to reveal the beauty that already exists within. Your compassion is the sculptor's hand. Where are you striking? And what beauty are you trying to reveal? This discernment is not a cold calculus. It is the warm light of wisdom guiding the hand of love. Here, Karuna and Upekkha meet. The heart reaches out, the mind observes. The impulse to act is tempered by clarity and patience. This is the essence of wise compassion. Principle 5. Preserve your light. You cannot give endlessly without reflection. Your heart will burn, your mind will cloud, and your energy will fade. True compassion does not sacrifice your own well-being for another's growth. Consider a candle. Its purpose is to give light. If it burns too quickly or is held too close to the flame, it consumes itself and leaves nothing but wax and smoke. Likewise, your heart can burn with compassion, but without care and boundaries, you risk exhaustion, bitterness, or blindness. Preserving your energy and clarity is not selfish. It is essential. Only a steady, well-tended flame can bring lasting warmth and guidance to others. Karuna moves your heart. Upekkha steadies the wick. Together, they ensure your light endures, illuminating the path for both yourself and those you care for. Inner restraint is essential. Protect your clarity and energy. Align your love with insight, your empathy with understanding, and your actions with timing. By respecting your limits, you preserve the integrity of both yourself and others. When you act wisely, your kindness is enduring. You support strength rather than creating weakness. You nurture independence rather than dependence. You give freely without expectation, without attachment, and without depletion. Remember, your own growth and balance are part of the practice. Without preserving yourself, your ability to guide, nurture, or inspire others diminishes. True compassion honors both hearts, yours and theirs. Upekkha teaches you to preserve your inner stability, even as Karuna moves your heart. By embodying both, you allow life's lessons to unfold for others, while keeping your own heart steady, clear, and full, like a candle that shines long and warm, rather than burning out in a moment of fervor. Walking the path of wise love. Observe before you act. Listen before you speak. Ask before you intervene. Offer guidance when it is needed, but allow space when lessons are unfolding naturally. Every challenge you face, every struggle you witness, is sacred. Learn to distinguish between support that strengthens and interference that weakens. Practice patience. Use silence as a teacher. Trust the rhythm of life. Let your kindness illuminate, not blind. Let your love nurture, not chain. Let your presence guide, not control. Give not merely to ease discomfort, but to awaken potential. Give with insight, patience, and clarity. Through discerned compassion, you nurture strength. You cultivate wisdom. You allow life to unfold with clarity, resilience, and beauty. Growth cannot be rushed, and love is most profound when guided by awareness. A lamp, a tree, a river all teach the same truth. True kindness is measured, wise, and freeing. If this wisdom resonates with you, please like this video and subscribe to join us on the path of conscious living.